7:30 p.m. Total we're at 7:30.
13, because there's 16 seconds.
So, okay, so we're now at the approval of the agenda. I need a motion. Senator Wong.
Plan is to suspend the bylaw. A motion to suspend the bylaw.
It has been a motion to suspend the legislative bylaws. Senator Mondo.
Second.
Second by Senator Mondo. Any discussion? Senator.
So the reason why I'm suspending the bylaws was because if the College of Republicans don't have this bill in, the difference between the bill they're proposing right now will be about 10 grand difference. So it's kind of a time pressing issue. That's why I'm asking.
Senator Jones.
Was it not submitted before the time?
Senator Jones.
Oh, okay, because I was then going to ask, like, if the Senate committee as a whole. Okay.
Oh, I was gonna have the bill sent to all the committees, but not like as a whole. So we'll still have the committees to talk about it, but just to like put on the agenda to send it to all committees tonight.
Senator Jones.
Can I ask why it wasn't sent during the time period?
Yeah, so the reason was it was planned to be submitted on Friday, but it wasn't because they wanted to make sure the numbers were correct for the actual cost before we sent it into Senate. And the reason why they were having trouble doing that was because the cost fluctuates. They were trying to, because it's a guest speaker event, so they have to double check. And then on Monday it was a little bit late because I know, like, personally I was spending time with my family, so I couldn't send it on time.
Any more discussion? Okay. Anyone opposed to suspending legislative bylaws? Oh, you're not doing this yet. Okay, so the legislative bylaws have been suspended. Senator Wong. You have to add it to the agenda.
Yeah, so a motion to add bill number 26, yeah?
26, yeah.
For the College Republican speakers.
Okay, so there's been a motion to add bill number 26 to the agenda. Is there a second? Oh wait, no, you're just adding it, right? Okay, so so bill number 20. Can you go down and type it, please? Bill number 26 under the Senate action. So bill number 26 has been added to the agenda. Anything else? Senator Wong. There's been a motion to approve the agenda. Is there a second? Senator Mondo, seconded by Senator Mondo. Any discussion? Anyone opposed to approving tonight's agenda? Tonight's agenda has been approved. Okay, so this is. Okay, so we are approved. Okay, so we are now the approval of minutes. So this will be for the approval of last week's minutes and the week prior, October 30th. So this motion to approve it by date, please. Senator Jones.
Motion to approve last week's minutes and the minutes of October 30th.
Okay. So there's been a motion to approve last week's minutes and the minutes of October 30th. Is there a second? Senator Brown. Seconded by Senator Brown. Any discussion? Anyone opposed? Okay. The minutes for October 30th and November 6th have been approved. And we are now at the guest speaker, who is Mark Green of the Office of Ombuds Services. And if you are recording, please turn off the recorders. Yes. Hello, ASUCM Senate and members of the audience. I hope everyone had a great Veterans Day weekend. Today, ASUCM hosted its first town hall event of the year. This was made possible through the hard work of our Director of Communications, Jess Lopez, and her staff members. So I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who showed up and contributed to the success of the event. I'm sure she put in a lot of effort to do it. I also want to welcome our temporary advisor while Steve is on leave, who is Dr. Charles Neese. And I'm sure he'll give more brief insight about his experience in ASUCM before Steve was hired. or not. I mean, whatever he chooses to report will be informative regardless, I'm sure. So yesterday at the executive meeting, there were some concerns about the image of ASUCM and how we as elected officials contribute to the image of this organization. I want to advise all members of ASUCM to be cautious of what you post on social media. The last thing we want is for students to question the stability of the student government. Let's try not to post topics or ideas that make the whole organization look as if it is unstable, and try to keep content neutral. In other words, just be careful what you say and how you say it, because the last thing we want to do is ruin the reputation of this organization. Just try using more I statements instead of we or us statements. You know, when you say we, you take the whole organization, you know, every branch of ASUCM. And it isn't fair to the other branches to criticize their work when they're not directly a part of the process. And also, it has appeared that for the last 2 or 3 weeks we have not had a full Senate table, and this is striking me as odd, because even today we don't have a full Senate table. It's also my fault for not being more assertive with absences. So from now on, if you do not make me aware of an upcoming absence 2 days prior to the Senate meeting, I will count you as absent. I will no longer be counting same day or 1 day before Senate meeting notifications as excused absences, and I hope this will encourage more senators to attend meetings. The bylaws say you do have to let me know a set amount of days before the Senate meeting, 48 hours I believe, before a Senate meeting. So I know some of you guys used to notice me the day of. That's not going to fly anymore. So some of you guys are reaching 2 to 3 absences just as a notification, and once you guys reach 4, you do have to meet with Dr. Neese to discuss your absences, and once you reach 6, you are up for recall. And as for committee absences, since the heads of the committees haven't met with me to discuss absences and latenesses, those will be taken into account as unexcused absences if you will show up late to your committee meeting, because I don't know what's going on. So if you guys don't want to meet, then that's fine. So if you are cutting it rather close, and remember you can only have 6 absences before you are up for recall, you're notified at 4 to meet with Dr. Neese. So please just try to show up and notify me within the appropriate time window. That's all I really ask of you. So the last issue I want to talk about is the timeline between legislation being passed and the date of the event. Please try not to push legislation last minute or pass a bill 2 days prior to the event happening. It puts a lot of stress on Cindy and the OSL to process all of the legislation and doing all the POs for the event. I know this was an issue last week when I went to go talk to her, and I told her I would relay the message back to you. So please take the OSL staff into consideration when passing legislation, and try not to push everything last minute. Give her usually about 3 to 4 weeks when passing bills. That gives her enough time to get all the paperwork sorted and have everything run smoothly. And that's all pretty much I have to say. So let's have a good meeting. So that's the end for my chair's report. Next is elected officers report. So if there's any elected officers in the audience, now is your time to speak. If you have anything to say. Okay. Okay, we are now moving to officers reports. Senate Pro Tempore, Senator Brown.
Okay. So from my list that I gathered last week, our count of repetitive comments was 7. Our count of generally superfluous comments was 8. And keep in mind that that was in one meeting, like a very, very, very short meeting where we didn't really discuss anything. Just to keep in mind, I wanna keep these numbers a constant running thing every week, so you can see if you're improving or not. I'd say the communication between individual people needs to happen a lot more. Don't hold it in. Just hug it out. Not literally. I mean, if you want to, you can, but that's not required. But if you do have a problem with someone or something someone did, it doesn't even have to be a personal problem with them. Talk to them about it. That's, holding it in is not going to do anything for either of you. And just try to respect everyone as an equal person, especially on the Senate table, because you all have the same amount of power, which is individually very little. And we're a collective organization. So, like I said last week, try not to drag the entire organization into every problem that you have, but do realize that just because Senate does something doesn't mean that you should go around telling everyone how bad Senate is for doing something, because we're part of it. We're all a collective organization. And regardless of if you agree with a certain idea, when you represent the organization to people, you have to at least, recognize that a majority of ASUCM senators wanted whatever it was that happened to happen. So just be aware of that. That's all. You're doing a good job. We just haven't made.
Sergeant Arms, Sergeant Jones.
Guess what day it is? Hump Day! Happy Wednesday, everyone. I hope that you're having a great week. So I don't have much to report except we don't have the CAT card scanner today. So make sure if you did not scan your CAT card on the way in, scan it on the way out on the little scanner in front of the door. That's about it.
Secretary Senator Gillen.
Okay, so I was not able to open October 30th's minutes because my computer was like, I do not have the proper, I guess it would be maybe like a program to open it. So unfortunately, I did not get to read it, but I did review last week's minutes and they were fine. Chairs, of committees, please tell me about any absences. Sometimes you guys have you kind of oscillate. You sometimes tell me about absences, and then you sometimes never just tell me attendance. You just go straight to your report, which is great, but please do tell me about absences or the people that were there so that I can properly take roll. Speaking of absences, nobody has approached the 3 absence limit yet.
Four.
Oh,
Four for advisors, 6 for recall.
Okay, but there are several senators that already have had absences, and if you would like to know your absence count, please feel free to talk to me after this meeting, or we can set up an appointment. Also, after reviewing last week's meeting minutes, we've been having a lot of resolutions come to the table lately, and I just want to generally say, it's great that we have resolutions that we think our constituents are really coming to us and having this whole transparency thing with ASUCM, but at the same time, please don't bring other people's ideas down. They worked really hard on these resolutions, and I don't want any negativity at the table saying your resolution sucks or your resolution is stupid, veiled by thinly made comments at the table. So yeah, that's about it.
ICC liaison.
I cannot attend today because they moved the meeting for today. I have plans, so I'm nothing to do today.
Clerk liaison.
Court didn't meet. Another sheriff reference.
Committee reports, budget and finance. Senator Armando.
We met today at 6 p.m. in KL 372 because Monday was a holiday and most senators could not end up making it. Senators Garland and Ray were present. Senator Wong had an excuse due to a meeting at her other job with the Calvin Bright Success Center. Other than that, we're still trying to find a time that works best for us all to meet to go over the bylaws because we're running out of time, and yet all of us seem to be incredibly busy and have problems finding times that work for us. So we're thinking of just doing a weekend meeting and making it an incredibly long weekend meeting in which we can hash out all of our concerns with these bylaws because we want to have something done and tangible that will actually affect ASUCM by the end of the semester. We'll be meeting at our normal time, 12:30 on Monday in KL 119 this coming week. Next week.
Academic Affairs. Senator Brown.
Academic Affairs wasn't able to meet this week because
Student Activity. Senator Wong.
Senator Jones were excused because she was sick. But we did talk about the bills that were sent to us. For bill number 23, we suggested for the group to go to ICC, just because ICC have a lot of funding and they're asking groups to go there. And then for resolution 7, we thought it would be a good idea. We're just not sure if the language in the resolution will affect organizations in the future.
Student Advocacy. Senator Hernandez.
we did meet. We went over the resolutions and bills sent to us, and we basically voted the same exact way. For the new one at the table, we did not receive it because it wasn't sent to us, I believe. The one for, it wasn't RAM, it was the one after that. It was for pre-optometry Western trip. Yeah, we didn't receive that one. But for the resolutions that were sent back to committees, we voted the same exact way on them.
Committee didn't receive it? Was it sent to your committee?
It wasn't sent to us.
Okay, but it was online.
Yes,
Okay.
it was online. We just, yeah. Oh, and everyone was present.
Hi everybody, I'm trying to speak up. I think I'm suffering from fluitis, pox, or some variety of all that. So forgive me if I keep sniffling and whatnot during the speech. Hey, yeah, woo, there we go, that's energy. Great. Just want to start out by saying we had an awesome town hall today. Jess put it together. It was, I think, one of the best open house kind of things out of the ASUCM. Tons of students showed up, had a lot of great conversations. So shout out to her, all the staff that also helped out working on that stuff, as well as all the ASUCM people. I know I saw a lot of you there. Interacting with students, not just kind of like grouping up, like actually talking to them. And it was interesting for 2.5 hours. You think, oh, that's a big, long event. We filled that with conversation. They were actually very interested, and we had a lot of people come in. So I don't think at any point was there kind of a point where nobody was talking to each other. I think that's really good for an event, that there's a lot of interest on campus. I want to say welcome to Charles. Charles was, when I was making tons of mistakes in Senate, my advisor, and we had a wonderful, awesome time with all that, and I really hope that Dad, as we called him, which I'm hoping we can bring back, the father of ASUCM, Charles Neese, Dr. Charles Neese himself, will be an awesome advisor. I'm so happy he's back with us here, even though he's missing all this time with his family, which he's enjoyed for 2 years. But it will be awesome having him here. He gives great advice, and I'm sure all of you met him. He's a wonderful person. So really excited to have him. I just want to mention we're going through a little transition process era for bills, resolutions, and Senate actions. There's been some issues like the bucket ban being sent to me and the old ICC bills, I think, from last week. That's just as Steve transfers all this stuff, I think, to the intern to figure out like how we email out. So bear with me and us as we try and figure that out, the kinks and stuff. So if something doesn't get sent in or doesn't go, they're asking, like clubs are asking questions, you're asking questions, let me know, because sometimes I don't realize that it didn't get sent to me. So that's important. I also want to mention about Reach Authentic Media. They have been here and videotaped tons of these meetings. He's been working this up here right now, and I think this is really, really important. This is something I think we've been talking about. I mentioned throughout, this is something that I think would be a valuable thing for ASUCM. I would want, hopefully, the same standard as we did apply for bucket ban, though, as expecting that it's an investment for a service. That's something I think that might be worth adding. Of course, talking to the President about that as well at the table. But I think that would be just mentioning a fair standard. It's important that we're being fair with that in the different agreements. I want to say and commend, as some of them have not had so much success, but Daryl has honestly been writing like tons of really detailed resolutions that I think really show a lot of effort, reaching out to students, a lot of stuff. As many, they might have some errors and whatnot. I think that he should be commended for really putting so much effort into doing a lot of these things. And I encourage everybody to start working together and like talking to him. Hopefully, I think he's here. Maybe contact me. Like I think if we collaborated and worked together a little bit more on them, that'd be great. I appreciate and really wanted to commend him for the effort he's putting in. He's really trying to put a lot of work into that. Going on to the bylaw amendments that were passed, I really do appreciate it, and I appreciate being invited back to the table. That's something that was really important to me, and I appreciate that very, very deeply. So thank you for that. I did want to mention how the process. One important thing is that constitutionally, my role with Senate is like one sentence, but one of it is to be able to approve or veto of all legislative actions, and that would be a legislative action. I only have issues being that would be something that would have to be sent to me. And I think it also needs to be sent to committee as a whole. Sometimes Robert's rules is weird. We have to go through even if it's basically the same thing. But I think it's important to remember the process for that. So I'll be talking about that afterwards. But just kind of like that might be coming in and just try and make sure we're following the right process to change the bylaws for future times. If we're going to do a ton of bylaw amendments in the future, it's important we do it for the first couple times, set the example for how it needs to go. How am I doing on time? Okay, cool. Partly also is that I think it's really good if we send bylaw amendments to committee. Again, I really appreciate what was passed. I think it was great, well-intentioned. I think it was awesome, and will really help ASUCM. But partly we send things to committee so that students can be able to provide input during the committee. We can discuss them, have time to research. So that's kind of an important time. That's why we don't do bills in the 2-day period. We could technically do it because it's important to have that kind of time to let it sit and digest it and discuss the ideas and stuff. Commissioners Council had a great meeting. We went over a bunch of FOMOSA planning, so vision, mission, objectives, strategy, and action plans. So basically just trying to backwards plan through what are the general things and what are the values we as ASUCM leaders and commissioners practice. Why are we doing this? What do we want to bring to the campus? What do we want to bring to students? How do we want to serve them? And what do we want our legacy to be? Going back from there to what can we do this year? How can we figure out allies? How can we identify action plans? So that was a great meeting. So working with all of them, but I got pretty high hopes for that. And they're doing great for recruitment, getting a ton of people. Also, a lot of great projects working with my staff. If you're looking for stuff to do, or if you have a project and you're looking for help on, and you want to collaborate, if you want some additional eyes on it or some discussion, please let me know. I have some great, awesome staff people who in my fellows program that are looking for projects and collaboration working with all of you. So please, if you're interested in working on something you haven't had yet, something that piqued your interest, or you want to do something you're not quite sure how, please let me know. I'm always happy to help. And I know they're eager to work on stuff too. And hopefully everybody, I think, got the student union building document, the committee report, right? Everybody got that? Hopefully had a chance to review it. I think it had a lot of promising stuff. It showed what our estimates kind of were really broadly. We're actually in the ballpark. And as Charles mentioned, this is going to be a longer project. But the thing is I think it was a lot of really reassuring stuff. Honestly, it looked great. It looked like a lot of information that's really useful to us. And I think it took what was kind of a nebulous idea and it put it on the road and said, hey, this is where you need to go. This is how far it is, kind of stuff like that. So I think that was a great document. And I really got a lot of hope for that. I also want to commend a few senators, Jared, Sam, Zach, for working with some of my staff, working on trying to get involved in the student union building project. This is an ASUCM thing we're all decided, and I really think that's awesome. If other people are working on that too, I apologize. But I think that's great and should be encouraged with all the senators, commissioners, execs around too. With that, I wanted to open up the rest of the time to any questions you might have at all. I think we got about 5 minutes left. Jared?
You mentioned the commission meeting,
Yeah.
and I remember like a couple Senate meetings ago, you had like every senator write down like the top 3 commissions they wanted to be on.
Oh, yeah.
Have they gotten a chance to like choose?
No, I still haven't. I still haven't. We spent the entire time. I had them at that last meeting right there in the picks.
Okay.
Yeah, so I finally did that. We ended up, like I said, with that one meeting we ended up not having. So that was our second meeting this past Friday. And since Students of Color is happening, and a few, I'm going to be gone, a few commissioners I think are going to be gone, we're also not having this week. So they're focusing on vision and mission planning with the teams right now, which might take 2 weeks. It's very important we do that right. That's kind of the foundation for everything else with the direction. And then we'll be going on to that. So it's in the works. So yeah. Cool. Whose hand is that? Oh, Agnes, sorry.
I just want a clarification with you. So for last year, I served on the Sustainability Council, if that's right, and I remember part of it was I was required to go to that to make sure things are okay, like how they're funding and bring something back to the table, right? And so I was wondering if we're delaying in sending senators into committees to help plan or the vision, because it's one thing to say I envision this, and it's one thing to say that this is possible.
Absolutely. Yeah, so I mean, one thing we had was we didn't have people from previous Sustainability Council really that we picked. It only had 3 people. I think only one was a student and then a senator and a faculty member, I think. There was like a 3-member voting.
Something like that.
Yeah, so it was not a lot of people. Being anyone that comes in that position is brand new. So the bylaws, I think we can agree, they're 2 years old. That's one of the mistakes we made when I was a freshman senator, those are very complex. It's provided some trouble for the past couple of years. Same with Neighborhood Relations Commission. Open bylaws are unclear, hard for new people to understand, and kind of limiting. They don't empower them to do more. They don't define what they do. They confines them. So right now, I've asked Noella and Kimberly and people in the commissions to focus on recruiting people to their team to get more students involved and to work on kind of the vision for the organization. And from there, part of that will be to also hopefully like those goals to make it to where it will allow them more flexibility in achieving that vision. I still want to retain that assembly will serve on it. So right now, those are bylaws that obviously are in. But I think rather than not having them be followed like they were kind of in past years as much, where it was trying to follow them, but not being, I think, moving really forward on that. I think trying to plan on what's more foundational, what's more fundamental, the purpose of the organization, who's going to work on it, stuff like that. So, cool. Thank you.